All right, let's talk about naming your blog or website. This is really important because it's one of those things that, yes, you can change it down the road, but if you've established some authority with Google and elsewhere, even though you can redirect things, it can slow down, pause your progress for a significant amount of time, up to 6 months in my opinion, maybe even more. So let's get this right from the very beginning, or from the beginning of your growth. And that's the other thing, is you are free to change this at any time if you are not getting a lot of clout with Google yet, because it won't make any difference. So this was literally a Google clout thing. So, and that's one of the reasons why my first suggestion is to use your name. I wish I had done it. About a million other bloggers that I know wish they had done that. And the reason is because you are going to build up authority on your site over time. Unfortunately, it rarely happens overnight. And so, and then over time means that things change. My dear friend Megan, who was the first person that ever commented on my blog, when I went over to look at her blog's name was A Mom, Two Boys. A Mom, Two Boys. Well, guess what happened a few years later? She had a third boy, like me. So then she went and changed her name, the blog name, to kind of a variety of her name, which I thought was really, really smart. So that's what I'm saying is, we start something with the best intentions that this is what we're going to do, and often over time things change. And I always tell the story about how I thought, because I was doing interior design at the time, I would write an entire interior design blog. I thankfully started writing interior design posts for Blissfully Domestic, which was a contributor site. And I found out really quickly that I suck at writing interior design posts. But if I had started my whole blog around interior design and then I was like, oh crap, this is hard, I probably would have just given up. So that's why it's good to just have some flexibility, and because you don't know what tomorrow holds. Okay, so my first thing would be the name. Okay, on the second hand, let's say, Holly, I don't want my name. This is where I'm going to say to you, okay, no problem. This is your property. This is your space in the world that nobody can tell you what to do. So if you don't want to use your name, that's fine with me, and it's totally in your control. So let's talk about some other options if you don't want to use your name or some sort of combination around your name. So the next thing my next choice would be, and this is an obvious one if you know my property, because I would say go for an SEO topic. And so kidsactivities.com is what is my blog's name. So it makes sense that this would be my second choice. So Kids Activities or Kids Activities blog, when I bought Kids Activities blog, that was the shortest way I could do it. Now I've since acquired Kids Activities, but if you go to the blog, you can go to type in kidsactivities.com and it'll go and you'll see that I still have all of the blog on kidsactivitiesblog.com, because like I said, if I was going to switch to kidsactivities.com, I would take a hit for probably up to 6 months on search traffic, which it's not that important to me to change the name because you can get to it either way. So finding a topic that you can find the shortest possible keyword phrases that describe that. This is going to be very difficult if you're in a popular niche, and a lot easier if you're in a really fringe niche. And quite honestly, this is even better the more fringe the niche, because it's going to be very easy for you to rank very quickly if it's in a really small, not very many people are writing about it. So, and it's going to be easier to find a URL, and it's going to be easier to find a URL that's not 432 characters wide. That's really what you want to think about, is something that you can do that's kind of short. So that would be my second choice. Number 3, the whole .com versus .net versus .me, if at all possible, it's going to be better for you in the long run to have a .com. But I realize I'm saying that in 2020 or 2021 when these are not just easy to come by. So really think about if you are going to have something other than a .com, every time you say it or write it, you're going to have to write the whole thing out. And so that's one of the ways that you can think about, is this worth it to me? Because the .com that is available might be longer, but on the other hand, if you choose like .net, you're always going to be saying .net. And whoever has the .com is going to get some of your traffic. It's just the way the world works. And so that's just something to think about. That doesn't mean you have to have the .com, but I would highly recommend it. And pretty much everything that I have now, except for one property, and I always forget and send people to the wrong place. So I'm just saying, it's not a bad idea to really think about how can I make it so I have the .com. And then if you're going to have something other than .com, quite honestly, I don't even really think it makes that big of a difference what that is, because you're going to have to be explaining it every single time you tell someone or to go to your website. All right, so that's where the next thing is, make it memorable. It's something that, like, I made a mistake a little bit with kids activities blog. I have to explain a lot. Kids is plural, activities is plural, blog.com. Or kidsactivities.com, kids and activities are both plural. So this is where, if you can't do the name, can't do the topic, it's probably good to do something memorable that puts two really juxtaposed words together, like, squirrel runs or something, I don't know. Where it's something memorable, so when you say it, people can remember to put those words together. And this is where this comes into spelling, is don't choose something that's hard to spell. Or that you have to spell every time, because remember, like, especially if you don't have the .com, then all of a sudden you have to say it, explain it, add the whatever, and then spell it. So we're like 3 minutes into an interview sometimes when this happens, and that's where, like, when you're thinking, I have these two options, what should I do? I want you to, like, get in front of a camera and, like, use each one in your bio and see which is easier for people to understand and spell and say and get to. And it's something we rarely do before we buy something. And let me give you an example. For many years, I ran a website called birdmom.net. And you're like, bird mom? No, burb mom. Like suburb. So here I go onto TV and radio and this kind of stuff, and I'm like, just go to birdmom.net. And they're like, what? And then I'm like, realize that burb mom, like suburban mom, suburb mom, burb mom, made so much sense when it's written out. And it makes a lot of sense when you see it. And I had something like on my minivan and stuff like that, so that it was really easy when you saw it, you're like, oh, bird mom. But when I started, the website started getting a little more popular and I started doing press and stuff, like, I would say it and like there would be this confusion across the table at whoever was interviewing me. Then I realized, holy crap, they think I'm saying bird mom, which doesn't make any sense. And so then I have to start explaining burb mom, like suburban mom, like burb mom. And then it's not a .com, it's a .net. So I am 2 minutes into whatever we're doing describing this. And that's one of the reasons I want you to be aware of all that before you go and set up your site on something that down the road you're gonna be like, oh my gosh, if I have to explain this one more time, I'm going to like go crazy. So that's just what I wanted to talk about. That's one of the reasons why If it's your name and your name's a little unusual, you're more likely to get your name these days. But then if you're going to spell something, spelling your name makes a lot more sense than spelling herb mom or something like that. So anyway, these are the things I would think about. And here again, like, I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she named her blog that after after going through this, because this is a very personal experience and this is your website. You get to decide. Nobody in the whole world can say you can't do that. I mean, maybe if you like chose something very vile, they might tell you can't do it, but for the most part, this is totally one of the only things in the whole entire world that's completely up to you. If it's available, you can do it and nobody can say you can't. And if you have a good reason for it and you have thought through these things, then go for it. Absolutely go for it. So I can't wait to see what you name your blog.